I'm Jon Creighton. I work for Buncombe County, and I really appreciate everybody being here today. I think this is a very exciting project, and our chairman, Mr. David Gantt, is going to start off the program today.
There are a lot of people to thank today, but let me start off with thanking Jerry Mears and Bob Hunter and Jon Creighton. This thing wouldn't, let's give them a hand right off the bat, folks. These guys in Wanda Green had a vision that we could do something that very few people do anywhere. And that's to take energy, take gas, make it into energy, and sell it, and make money, and come back to the taxpayers of Buncombe County. This generator, well, there are two parts to this. Actually, some of them, we're not here to celebrate the first part, but the first part is we're actually taking the, what's called the leachate, the stuff that comes down off of it. This is very, for you scientists and you engineers, you're going to laugh at the way I put this, but it's the stuff that goes through the landfill. We're recirculating that, so we're trying to have a landfill that will last hopefully forever, but at least extend the time. That's thanks to Bob Hunter's leadership. Bob Hunter said, EPA will be the guinea pigs to try this. So we're doing this, and so far it's working. You know, ever since the cavemen and cavewomen, they've just buried their stuff in the ground. Well, that's probably not a good use of land. It's probably not the best way to do things. So by doing this, by taking the gas that's coming off here, taking the water out of it, making it into electricity, selling it to French Broad Electric, we can do something that is smart, that is innovative, and that is a good value for the taxpayers that we all represent. We have to do things like this from now on, folks. We cannot use fossil fuels the way we've used them. You know that, and I know that. We got to go with the solar, we got to go with the wind. Geothermal. Did y'all know that Black Mountain Town Hall has a geothermal array around there that heats the water for them? So it's happening here. We've got solar on several of our buildings. We now have one of the few gas-to-electric generators in the state, and we're proud of it. We're proud of the people that made it happen. We have, and we're going to meet our moral obligation to our kids, our grandkids, and everybody that comes after us to try not to use as much energy and to be smarter with our natural resources. So we're not just siting landfills, we're not just taking land out of circulation, and we're trying to use the waste products instead of just burning them off or using them some other way. We're going to be smarter. And I think that's what we're supposed to do as government. I think government's supposed to lead the way on some of this. And I want to thank everybody for taking time to come here today, because this is a celebration for everybody in Buncombe County that we're doing something that's going to make a difference today, tomorrow, all the way into the future. So it is my pleasure to be the chairman of a board that had part of this, but the leadership, Bob Hunter, Jerry Mears, Wanda Green, they're making this, and Jon Creighton are making this happen, and it wouldn't have happened without you. So thank you.
I'll be very brief in this campaign season. I want to echo the accolades that have already been shared today to our staff, as well as to Congressman Shuler's office in particular. I think that's we're lucky to have a visionary like Congressman Shuler in terms of the environment, and he's been a leader and he's cared. So I want to share those accolades and also say that, as David mentioned, this today is really, there's two messages from me personally. I'm a mom of a 9-year-old, so it really is about the future. It's about thinking beyond our own self-interest. The other thing that's so important for me personally today, in the kind of bigger scheme, is that this represents possibility. The possibility of solving several of our most critical challenges when we use innovation, when we use new technology, when we're open to this. And it helps us change an old mindset. And to have examples that we're seeing right now of that possibility is really important, not just for our environment, but for all the challenges that we have in our community. We can see what can happen when we're open and when we're looking towards the future. And that's very important for me personally to be inspired about right now. Inspired for my daughter and inspired for her friends. The final thing I want to say, the final thank you is because I think that the local officials, you know, we get a little bit of a pat on the back, and the federal officials as well, and our staff has just done a fabulous job. But you know who I am grateful for? I am grateful for the citizens of Buncombe County that demand a different approach to problems. And they hold us accountable. They hold our feet to the fire, and they say, that's not good enough. We want more. We want better. And we rise to the challenge, and we find those possibilities. So let's not forget the folks today that we serve and that hold our feet to the fire and that set that bar so high for us that from time to time, like today, we clear it. And y'all cleared it today. So thank you.
My remark won't be as long. I'm not up for re-election. About 4 years ago or something like that, when, oh, that one? That one too? Okay. That's not on? All right. Bob Hunter brought this to us, this idea of this thing, and sold our county manager and our assistant county manager and the rest of the commissioners on this thing. I didn't know what he's talking about. Said we were one of 2 counties, the government, EPA, or whoever they were, issued 2 grants or whatever, I think, and one on the East Coast, one on the West Coast. We got the East Coast one. Out in California, Alano County, what's the name of that place, John? Yolo County, California, wherever that is. They had one. Went out there and looked at it, and they showed me that, so here's a landfill that's not using this, and here's one it is, and it's sunk. Thing was down. So I think the fact that we're saving the landfill space for what we're doing and providing power. But thank goodness we had the Bob Hunter, and we had the Wanda Green, the John Jackson, the Jerry Mears, and all over there, and now the ones we got now, looking after this for. This is a great asset to this county. It just shows you that we're the best run county in the country. Thank you very much.
I'd like to express my appreciation to everyone who is here and to the elected officials, but most of all to the management of Buncombe County, the great job that they do and the foresight they have to put us in a position to be able to be here today to be excited about this. What I'd like to talk to you really about is the cooperation that it takes among government agencies to get this kind of thing done. Several years ago, your county commissioners, we sent a representative group to Washington. We go to what's called a legislative goals meeting. And at that meeting, John had asked prior to that we set up an appointment with Congressman Shuler, which we did. This was at a time when my husband Bruce was the district director for Congressman Shuler's office. So we went to Heath's office, sat with his staff, talked about the need that we had here in Buncombe County. This group of people got right on board with us. They were very excited that Buncombe County had the foresight to start an operation like this. They came on board, and I know you'll hear from the way the financing went, you'll hear that in just a few minutes. But the fact that we were able to go and sit in Washington with our representative and his fine staff and get their support of a project here in Buncombe County was awesome. And I think you see the result of that. Whether you're working locally or at the state level or at the federal level, it's very important that you have those open lines of communication and you're able to talk to Freddie Harrell, who represents our good senator, or John, who represents our other fine senator, or Randy Flack, who's going to talk, as I'm going to introduce in just a second, who is one of the congressman's representatives here. It's so important to have those open lines of communication, see that we're all working for the citizens of Buncombe County, and that's come home today. You see the result of that. It's Buncombe County, it's the state, it's the federal folks, but the real winners are the citizens of Buncombe County. So thank you for being here. It's our pleasure to have been a small part of this, and it's my pleasure to introduce Congressman Shuler's representative here today, Randy Flack.
Thank you, Ms. Peterson. My remarks will be very short, but what I want to say is this is an example of what we need to be doing more of in this country. We have got to work on the environment and on better ways of producing energy for the people of Western North Carolina and Buncombe County specifically. This is a real good example of people who work together, Mr. Hunter, and your crew and the ideas you put it forth, and the county commissioners had the vision to do this. I'm hoping that 20 years from now, they'll look back to 20 years ago today and say, can you remember when they used that old thing out there? And they started this whole thing, and the whole country's changed as a result of what they did in Buncombe County. I also want to say that it's an example of how people in Washington work together. I do want to ask them to stand up. Freddie Harrell from Senator Hagan's office is here today, and John Mitchell from Senator Burr's office. At a time in this country when it's too often us versus them, this is an example of we. And this is what we have to come back to in this country. Forget us versus them and work for we the people. So I want to commend the county commissioners for their foresight and everybody who had a part in this. Thank you so much.
Chris Gable, I'm with CDM Smith, and CDM Smith has worked together with the county here on many rewarding projects over the years at this award-winning facility. And but I think this project's particularly gratifying to us because I think it's one of the best examples of the county's commitment to protecting the environment through innovation. And while the development of this project, we had a lot of challenges along the way getting this thing built. The concept of it is pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. What we're really doing is focusing on the organic materials in the landfill, such as food waste and paper, other things like that that are disposed into the landfill. They're broken down by bacteria, and the bacteria that's naturally present in the soils. As these bacteria consume the waste, the organic waste, they create more space in the landfill, and they produce a number of byproducts referred to collectively as the landfill gas. Now, these constituents, you're primarily talking about carbon dioxide and methane. The methane portion is really what we're focused on, and that's a very potent greenhouse gas. It's approximately 21 times stronger than CO2 as far as its heat capturing capabilities. But it's also an excellent fuel source for engines and boilers, as you see here. So by using it, we can produce power. We gain the twofold benefit of reducing gas emissions from the landfill, but we're also reducing our use of fossil fuels. And as a result of these benefits, the project's eligible for renewable energy credits as well as carbon reduction credits. I'd like to point out also that the decomposition process here is enhanced by the bioreactor program that the county's been operating now since 2003. This provides more gas for the facility and increases the life of the landfill. So one of the challenges that we face during the construction here is how to extract the gas from the landfill. And as you can note on some of the photos here over on the side, this is achieved by a drilling device called a bucket auger. And this specially equipped drill rig creates a large diameter hole. And with that, we installed 25 wells across the landfill using the bucket auger, and then installed a network of pipes that connect all these wells to a central collection pipe that runs along the perimeter of the landfill. And directly behind you, that large diameter pipe comes out of the ground and connects at the flare station. That's a 2-foot diameter pipe. So all the gas is coming from the landfill through that pipe. And as the gas is generated in the landfill, it does create some pressure, but the collection process itself would be pretty slow and sporadic if we relied on that alone. So the use of the vacuum system that you see off to the other side near the flare station really allows us to pull out as much of the gas as possible. And that gas is produced as it comes out of the landfill. It's very wet and really not of acceptable quality for the generator. So the system is also equipped with a series of heat exchangers, filters, other devices that remove the moisture, remove the particulate from the gas and get it cleaned up and adequate to go to the generator. One other aspect of it I think it's interesting is this system's equipped with a computerized data collection system that records a continuous stream of information that's being relayed wirelessly down to the administration building, so the operators themselves can monitor it at all times. They have a good historical record of what's going on at their facility. And we're fortunate enough to have Aaron McKenzie as the operator, who has a history prior to the county working in the gas industry, but has also worked in the IT department here too. So he's really got the perfect combination of skills to operate this facility. So after the gas is cleaned and dried, it goes to the generator, used as a fuel source to run the engine. This first phase produces 1.4 megawatts of power when it's running at full capacity. And that's enough power to meet the energy needs of about 1,100 homes. There you go. So as the landfill progresses in size, we still have quite a few years left in this landfill. We intend to double the output in 6 to 10 years, and then eventually have a third generator that will be situated right where these folks are sitting. So, let's see here. As we look to the future, I wanted to point out too that we're now looking at even ways to integrate more innovation into what we're doing. And one of the advancements is actually taking place right now. Construction of the second phase of this project is underway in the active cell of the landfill. And we're incorporating a couple significant advancements, I think. One is what we're calling an early capture system for the gas that's being generated in the active cells of the landfill. We're now able to capture that as well as in the final stages, such as what we're looking at in the landfill over here. So the combination of that and with some temperature gauges that we're now going to be installing in the waste, we'll be able to monitor the temperatures, the decomposition process much better than we are now. And we expect those advancements to provide us even a greater yield of gas output from the landfill as it goes online. So I wanted to just conclude by saying it really is an exciting time in the solid waste industry, and as everybody else prior to me speaking noted, you know, we're really looking in a new direction here. In 2009, the EPA changed the Office of Solid Waste. It's now known as the Office of Resource Conservation and Recovery. And this new title is reflective of the sea change in the U.S. regarding how we view our waste products. And recognizing the value in the materials we throw away is really opening up new doors to new ideas, approaches for managing solid waste, and resulting in projects such as the one we're celebrating here today. So I commend the county for its vision in recognizing and embracing this new direction as we continue to find better ways to meet our challenges. Thanks.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you for having me here. Kind of got nervous when I came in and saw all these rocks sitting around, and me, the lone representative of utility here. And we've historically taken a black eye when it comes to renewable generation, so please don't throw rocks till I at least say what I got to say, and then if you don't like it, then I'll take cover. But really appreciate being here, really excited about such a project. You know, when this first came on my desk, it's been 2 or 3 years ago now, wasn't sure, we didn't know anything about renewable generation as far as landfill gas goes, and as we got more educated on it, it really sounded like a good project. Obviously, Buncombe County had a lot of foresight and confidence in not only their vision, but also Chris and his group and how they could engineer such a product, and it's really, it's one of those win-win situations. You know, we're all for win-win situations. Those just don't happen very often, especially in our business. You know, somebody's got to lose for somebody else to win, and this is one of those few projects that just don't seem to be that way. We're really excited about it. You know, we, as a nation, from a utilities perspective, we got fat, dumb, and happy in the 80s. We sat back, we built a lot of nuclear plants and coal generation, and later on, as restrictions became more and more pertinent, we kind of weaned off of that and went towards natural gas. And so that's where we've been the last several years. You know, if you look at new generation, a lot of it's been natural gas. And you know, with the frailing and fracking and all the other technologies that have come out, you know, whether that's a good thing or that's a bad thing is, you know, a lot of personal opinion. But you know, in the end, it's another fossil fuel and something that, you know, nobody really knows, you know, how much of that's going to be around 10 years from now, or 20 years from now, or 50 years from now. You know, a lot of us got kids, and we're all concerned about the environment. From a utility perspective, you know, we're concerned about the environment, but we've got to be concerned today and tomorrow how we're going to meet the energy needs and meet those needs at a reasonable cost. And this is one of those projects that does all the above. You know, it prevents, you know, hopefully as these projects expand throughout our nation, you know, it's going to minimize the number of new plants we have to put online, especially coal plants and you know, nuclear plants and those type of plants. They're, you know, they're very costly. They're very expensive. They take a long time to build. Especially with coal, you've got a lot of adverse environmental effects. Not that there's not a lot with nuclear too, but you know, this is just one of those things that the more we can get, the more benefit we'll all enjoy. So I'm really excited about it from a utility perspective. Again, you know, as we gain more and more of these projects, you know, our utility, French Broad Electric, is becoming one of the leaders in renewable energy generation. By the end of this year, we think we're going to have almost 10% of all our electric sales from renewable generation. And that's not only this project, but we've got several solar projects underway. We own a hydroelectric facility on the French Broad River, and we buy a lot of as much hydroelectric power from SEPA that we can do. So it's really a good thing, and these kind of projects, you know, meet all the needs of a utility. They can run several hours, they can be on peak demand, and the fuel is essentially free. So it's just a great thing for all of us. So we ought to celebrate today, and to do that, I'm going to turn this back over to John and start the ribbon ceremony.
I guess in concluding, I'd like to ask everybody to stop by. In the back, we've got some soft drinks, cookies. We also have the Buncombe County green bags to give away. Staff will be available after the ribbon cutting to talk to you all about, you know, the mechanics of how the system works. If you'd like to take a tour or see the generator. Yeah, sure. One more.
One fellow we sort of left out, the guy that started this thing with us, along with Bob. Bob, understand up. Little bitty fellow sitting right there. Everybody don't know him. And his pretty wife, Stanley. How you not be pretty big behind the back, can't be. But CDM sent us a young engineer. I remember meeting him about 24 years ago. He had his first child, who's now going to Georgia Tech on a baseball scholarship. But he was in a little basket, and they did a conference down in Winston-Salem, I think. But Joe Wiseman was our engineer from the very beginning. Right? Joe Wiseman, stand up. He brought it along. Chris done this job, but 500 Joe Wiseman put this thing together. We're proud to see you, Mike.
Thank you, John.
Great. Like I say, I'd like to ask the commissioners to step over in front of the generator, and we'll go ahead and cut a ribbon.